When I was first asked to be involved in Valley Art's Hidden Voices project, we began by looking at who called the Chew Valley home and why. And I started to ask myself, where is my home? I'll always class myself as Welsh. I lived for 15 years in Wales and much longer elsewhere, but I still class Wales as my home. I live in the Chew Valley now, and it's where I've brought up my children. And if this is my children's home, then surely it must be my home. So when does a place become a home? Is it where you are for the longest? Or is it where you spent your childhood? Or is there more to it than that? And why do people decide to stay in the Chew Valley? What is it about this beautiful place that makes it so unique?
You kind of suddenly realise that there isn't anywhere else that you'd like to be. It's where you feel safe and where you feel like you belong.
Natasha is the only artist we've spoken to as part of this documentary. It's obvious that she feels that by making her work, she connects to herself, and that in turn connects her to other people, but also to the land itself. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're clearly very inspired by the natural environment and vegetables and growing in particular. Which came first?
I mean, initially when I was creating work that was inspired by moving out here, it was kind of things that were inspired by the countryside and the hedgerows. So I was doing pottery, that's what I trained in ceramics. And I started to kind of, it's almost like celebrating the countryside by drawing kind of hedgerow species and wildflowers on the pots that were then fired, and then I started to sell them during the art trail and kind of things like that. And I was asked by local people to create a set of 6 vegetable drawings for the Pelly and Chew Magna when they refurbished. And then that kind of, lots of local people saw the vegetable charcoal drawings and really loved them, and that kind of fueled me. And I kind of didn't have a lot of time to create art because I had a little newborn baby and I could only do these rapid sketches of charcoal vegetables when she was asleep. Somebody dropped off a bunch of radishes to the front door. I think they knew that we'd had a newborn baby, and I kind of thought, these are really beautiful, maybe I could draw these. So that's typical of the work that I do, is that I use mud. And I think when people buy it, my work, they're buying into their love of that mud, around that mud connection.
Yeah. They're buying into that connection to the land.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's why this work has kind of gone down so well, really, with local people. A lot of people say, well, I've seen your work in loads of different people's houses because people buy it because they love living here. This is from Compton Martin. It's like a red ochre. You get these red rocks near Winford Reading Pit and things like that, and if you crush them up with a pestle and mortar, you get these amazing colours.
Oh, right. Everything is very grounded, not just the subject matter, but the materials that you use. It's all very much grounded in the natural environment, but of this location, of your, where you call home, basically. It's all from
as
this
much as possible
local area. I love that.
Yeah.
They're not just asking you to draw a picture. Their reasons will be about connection as well, and it'll be about connection to the land.
That's it, or it'll be because, they love a particular part of the landscape or something that reminds them of a long lost relative who used to grow beans in their vegetable garden. Or, there's all these amazing connections, and for me, and that's a lovely thing, really. It's that affirmation of life.
Hello, Mary.
Hello. How lovely to see you.
I must ask, what are you up to there?
This is one of life's little mysteries, really. If you put your ear at this time of year on a birch, you will hear the sap rising up the tree.
Fantastic.
It's quite remarkable.
I need to do it. I need to have a listen.
Do it. Have a listen.
You can hear a sort of a tinkling.
Yes. Plants are quite extraordinary.
Mary Payne is an eminent local horticulturist with an MBE and extraordinary connections specifically to plants. Mary sees the life and beauty in everything around her, and after 48 years in Stanton Drew, this is undoubtedly her home. We met her at Yew Valley Organic Gardens in Blagdon.
Mary, you're clearly very
passionate about gardens and about horticulture.
Horrendously passionate.
Can I ask what got you into it?
Pure luck. I didn't want to sit in an office.
Right.
I wanted to be outside. I wanted to do something creative.
Have you done that your whole life?
Absolutely, from the day I left school.
Wow.
The Chew Valley's just the most amazing place, isn't it? You could be in the Lake District as you come over Dundry.
Yes.
And drop down and see
that view of the lake.
The lakes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
there's just so many fantastic views. It's what I call sort of home. I think home, you go through various stages in life with home, and you start off with home is where your parents are, and you stay with that as home until you get married and get your own house, and then home becomes somewhere else, doesn't it?
You've obviously looked after gardens. Do you design them as well? Have you sort of
I've
created?
designed, yes, I've done Chelsea and Hampton Court and all that sort of thing. I think deep down in every horticulturist there's the desire to have a Chelsea gold medal or a Hampton Court gold medal, just to prove you can do it. It's hell.
Is it?
Such hard work. So yeah, I think I've done most things over the years.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
You'll remember to listen to the birch.
I will. I'm going to tell my kids to listen to the birch as well. I was just thinking how muddy my car's going to get when I get back in with these boots on. Andy Mays is an archaeologist living in Bishop Sutton, and he first became interested in the Burledge Hill Fort during COVID, when he found himself with a bit more time on his hands. The fort is privately owned now, so we are not able to walk directly on it today, but it's fascinating to think that this footpath has been walked by local people for thousands of years.
For me, it's about connection with the landscape. And when you spend enough time in a place to identify things and understand it, and for it to have meaning. Well, this trackway is probably dating from the Bronze Age, or even earlier. In the Iron Age, which lasted from 800 BC to the early part of the 1st century AD, there was a hill fort here. And this trackway runs right through the centre of the hill fort. When I saw that the pottery could have been early Iron Age, I thought, well, that's interesting because it makes the hill fort unusual. There are lots of hill forts, but if you get an early date, then you've got potential for research into who built the first Iron Age hill forts, and we don't know who built them.
Oh wow. So this would have been the fort that we're looking at here?
Yeah, so it's quite a large fort, and as you come along the road from East Harptree into Bishop Sutton, over the Heriots Bridge where the lake is, and you look up, that's the hill fort. When you know that, you could see straight away how much it would have dominated that view. You'd have seen it for miles. You'd have seen it from the Mendips, tops of the Mendips. The settlement was located in this lowest part, so it's the most protected area of the hill fort. So in here you would have had probably 3, 4, maybe 5 families, potentially. Over in the top corner of the hill fort was a poorhouse for people in Chewton Mendip that became destitute, and they were paid for by the parishioners. You'd have to chip in to support the poor people, you know, that had been sort of thrown off their land effectively.
Oh gosh. Yay! Well done, Carr. That was really interesting. I didn't even have any idea that this was up here. He was the first person who has linked that feeling of home, or that idea of home, to being the physical place. And it was interesting because he hasn't been here that long, and yet he feels really connected to the landscape here, and that's what makes it feel like home to him. Andy Weers is a champion sheep shearer based at Fernhill Farm. He started shearing when he was just 15 years old. And as a blade shearer, he's bringing back skills that have been used for hundreds of years. We've been invited up to the farm to see how he does it.
I think part of the reason why I went travelling to find out what I wanted as a home. And I think it's where you can have a secure business and a secure way of life, welcoming friends and guests and unknown, because it's where you've established yourself. I've shorn sheep in New Zealand, North and South Island, Australia, France, Netherlands, Sweden. So only a fraction of where sheep are. So over the years, it's like you gain gain a skill, and now I work with wallboard and train other people how to shear.
Okay.
And it was just like watching fluid poetry, working with human blades and sheep. I thought,
Really?
I've got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I've been practicing ever since.
Oh, wow.
And I still machine shear, but I transitioned from machines to blades, and now we've incorporated the blade shearing into our kind of model of how we keep the sheep on the farm.
Okay.
And now we've got sheep with a big coat on them, so it's sort of our duty that we've got to take the wool off of them.
Right, yes.
And it's still an amazing sustainable product.
Yeah.
Better than any synthetics. It's probably the most sustainable fibre you can get.
Right. Is blade shearing sort of better for the wool, better for the sheep?
It's more relaxed
No.
for the sheep. You haven't got a noise, you haven't got a vibration. So we always wear moccasins when we're shearing, because if you're shearing with a boot on, you've got whatever boots you got, and you've generally got a heel, and you've generally got a flat base to the boot, which means you stand flat-footed. It reduces your mobility and your sensitivity to what's going on. And then you can hear that the blades they've got a defined sound as they pass each other.
Yeah.
So I shut, open, slide forward, shut,
Right.
open, slide forward, and work your way around the sheep. But you're never shearing flat, because you can imagine the sheep's round. Wherever you got it, it's round. So if you're shearing something round and it's flat, you're going to cut. So I start down on the flank area, and I'm going to work up the side of the rib cage to the brisket, the sternum. Obviously, when learning is a challenge, because you're taking longer to get the job done, so you're holding the sheep in a position for longer than when you become more proficient, and so they get bored. What I'm trying to do is, when I'm shearing, I'm kind of constantly moving. I'm moving my heels up and down my toes, I'm angling my hips, my knees, so there's always a little bit of movement going on.
Wow.
One shorn sheep.
Wow. Wow.
So then we have an inspection of the fleece. You can actually play a little note.
Yeah. And that's telling you the strength of it?
Yeah, it's good strong wool.
Right.
So that's reliable. You could sell that for spinning, and your client would be really happy.
I feel really privileged to have witnessed that, a champion sheep shearer at work. And from one farmer doing amazing work to protect the land to another, Luke Hazel. Luke's family have been on the same spot in the Chew Valley for generations.
Denny Farm was on that hill there. It wasn't an island, and there is still walls of the farm on the island.
Is there?
Yeah, but they some reason knocked down all the houses, and we planted nigh on 28,000 trees.
Wow.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful site and the views are incredible, aren't they? So tell me, yourself and your family have lived in the area, in the Chew Valley area, for quite a long time and farmed here.
Yeah,
Tell me
sadly
a bit
approaching
about
my
that.
50s. Oh my God. My grandmother, who lived till she was over 100,
Wow.
many generations, she's done the family tree back. And
Oh, really?
yeah, so we're embedded into the fabric of the Chew Valley.
And have you always lived here yourself?
I had a bit of a temporary travelling the world for a couple of years, and then lived in London for a bit, but I always knew that I'd end up back in the Chew Valley. Here he comes. Here's a beauty.
How do you feel in terms of the challenges with farming? How have they changed over the years?
Yeah, farming's fraught with many, many issues and problems. Generationally, I suppose as farmers, we've all been encouraged to grow as much as we can and provide as much as we can to the nation. We are very, very lucky to be stewards of this beautiful landscape that we call home, and I've been in a fortunate position in one respect, because I've had a free rein to farm how I wanted to farm and take the farm in certain directions. But with the community farm and everything that I do with the Valley Fest, it's all born out of a passion to share what my mum and dad and the people before them have left us. And that's my greatest asset, is to be able to share the land that is so special.
Yeah.
And you only have to look behind us. I'm so grateful to call it home.
For me, I think what makes a home is where your childhood is, where your family and your friends are, and the community around you. We take minority ethnic young people, communities, families out into nature with the aim of breaking barriers to access. We teach them how to utilise the outdoors for mental health resilience. We discuss the environment, sustainability.
And what was your motivation behind it?
Maya set up Back to Nature, and
this is your sister?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so for Maya, it was about sharing what we had grown up with those who don't have the opportunity to experience it. Growing up in the Chew Valley, there was no one else that looked like us.
Right.
It was about making a change. Mental health within our communities is extremely low. Actually, just being outdoors can really help.
Right.
We go to all sorts of locations, but we run a lot of camps and day trips in the Chew Valley.
Okay.
Quite often we use a community field in Compton Martin to camp in.
Oh, right.
They come over the hill, coming out of Bristol,
Yeah.
and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
And even just smelling how different the air is,
Yeah.
they're like, they can't believe how fresh it is.
Really? Would you say then that you're seeing an impact of the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. There's lots of children that attend our events who are really struggling with the cost of living crisis. Being out in nature has such a positive impact on them.
Oh, well, thanks so much for your time today. It's been really interesting to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was really interesting when Aisha said that growing up here, no one looked like her and her sister, and it was about creating a change, giving people from all backgrounds a chance to connect with the beauty of this place. You don't actually have to live here to share the benefits. Perhaps home is a place where you can find peace within yourself.
This garden here, Grampy built that summer house with our little kitchen behind, and we had a little chimney coming up, and we had a little stove.
Jane and Edwina have known each other since they were children, coming to the Bridge House in Pensford, where Jane, her mother Meg, and the rest of her family lived, spending every day in each other's company. Edwina now lives in Clutton, and Jane has travelled all over the world, but they both call Pensford home.
I think a place becomes a home as you grow into it. If your family is central to that village, which my family were, then you just absorb it. I mean, you just realise that you're just part of it. You're not even aware of it, really. My home is my house. It's the house that is my home.
As we were walking up, you were telling me that you grew up obviously in the village, and this lane and this sort of stretch of the village in particular was quite important to you.
Oh, it was our territory. It was our little world. We had a little gang, really, and we all lived in the centre of the old village. So we had kind of free run of everything, really.
Yeah. And also, if you travel on up here, you come to what is the open downs, we used to call them, and we spent most of our time playing up there.
So how long have you two known each other?
Forever. Well, I don't know.
And how did you meet?
Well, I can't remember
Not really.
the first time we met.
No, I can't either, but it must have been very early school days when I was allowed to run along from my house to here. Jane's dad having the butcher's shop, we were in and out anyway, shopping and things, so I suppose the link got there.
My first memory of you is probably at the coronation party and watching the coronation on the TV. My uncle was the first person to buy a TV so that we could watch the coronation. But there was a big party in the village and they had a fancy dress competition.
Oh, yes.
And she went as a doll in a box.
Doll in a box. I was the winner.
Did you win?
Yes.
Brilliant.
As we grew up, obviously, and went to different senior schools.
Yeah.
And then our lives changed, our careers. Jane went into nursing, I went into nursery nursing. So we sort of parted then, but then we somehow both came back to the village.
My mum was the link with all the friends. Everybody would, even if I wasn't here, everybody would come back to Bridge House.
They'd come back to see your mum.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
East Harptree is a village in the Chew Valley known for having a really active community who have helped shape the village for its residents. Chris Head is one of the many people in East Harptree involved in several community projects in the area: the shop, the church, the playing field, and now the pub, to name a few.
Been in East Hartpury for 24 years now.
My impression of East Hartpury from people that I've met, there's a real sense of community here.
Yeah, there are two people who come to the village. Either people who just put up a wall around their house and forget about it, or people who join in.
Right.
And I thought, okay, fair enough, we'll come and we'll join in then, we'll see what happens. I can walk up the high street and I can literally be waving at everyone. Oh, hello, hello.
Chrissy Wellington also lives in East Hartpury. She became a professional athlete when she was 30 and is a world Ironman champion and world record holder.
So I did the most masochistic of all. So an Ironman triathlon is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, finished off with a marathon. I won the world championships 4 times in that time. So 4-time world champion.
Oh, that's incredible.
And I feel so grateful to the sport as a gift for, as something that gifted me that opportunity.
Yeah.
Both Chris and Chrissy have used their skills to create some amazing opportunities for their village.
It's quite an active community, but still, women and men were facing barriers to being active. And I spoke to a number of people about their desire to start running. I believe one of my strengths is my ability to enthuse and inspire, and that's what I felt that I could give the community, and we've managed to create that in Hartpury Runners. It's absolutely incredible to see, people coming together and supporting each other, encouraging each other, and for it to have become this safe, inclusive space where people can be active.
So here we are outside the pub.
And this is the pub that we now own. The whole village, the whole community owns the pub now.
That's fantastic. So I've not heard of this happening before. Yeah. So how does a community own a pub?
About 40 people turned up at a meeting saying, how can we save the pub? And we managed to get a little committee together, and then we started to raise money both through selling shares,
right,
as well as finding grants. So we managed to raise about £250,000 in shares.
Wow.
And then we also managed to get grants from various government schemes for about £300,000.
Oh, fantastic.
So we had enough then to buy the pub and to carry out restoration work and do all the work that was necessary to get it going. We completely redecorated the pub. Oh, the redecoration was done all by volunteers.
Oh, brilliant.
The garden out the back was all done by volunteers as well.
How important pubs are to villages? I mean, how long has this been here?
I'm not sure of the exact sort of chronology of it, but it's been here for many, many years.
Yeah.
Many years.
Terry's family have lived on their 40-acre farm near Dundry for over 100 years. Terry herself has run a livery yard on this spot for 33 years, and she has some quite unusual inhabitants.
Ridings Farm is home because these guys are home and everything that I love is here.
Oh my goodness.
They are quite cool. And then there's 2 out in the field as well.
Hello.
Easily. So you won't believe this, but this is my shyest zebra.
How important is it, or was it to you, to do this here in this location in the Chew Valley?
I've known nothing else but the Chew Valley, really. I went to school in Dundry. I went to senior school at Chew Valley. I played rugby for the Valley Cats.
Oh, did you?
So, I've been a Valley girl forever. I'll always be a Valley girl. I left school at 15, won GCSE. I'm dyslexic, I've got Asperger's and I've got ADHD, so all that is a struggle as well. There was definitely no drive or desire to be the UK's leading wild equid specialist or have any idea about them. I just thought they were beautiful. And though I've lived in Shropshire and I've lived in Gloucester, I've always come back here and I'm just lucky. I always say I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes, she is. This is the hybrid. Oh. Yes, she is beautiful.
She is really
Everybody
cute.
Loves her. Under her eyes, she's got little dots of she looks like she's got her own little eyelashes on.
Yeah.
The first 2 came from Dublin Zoo.
Okay.
And they were given to me because they were attacking the rhino.
Oh.
So they're my oldest now, they're in their 20s, and I'm really sad because the female is getting older and you can see that we're kind of on our last few years, but she's brilliant.
And you mentioned the possibility of the land around here changing.
I think it's coming, and we're in the middle. And it's devastating because we've lived here forever, and I'll be really, really sad. But anyone that sells anything now has to do BNG, so biodiversity net gain.
Okay.
And you have to be able to prove that you can, what you have to display, you have to do most people do planting trees.
Right.
That's really boring, and there's so much more that you can do. With the charity that I am involved with, Nature Safe, we have just won an award at Houses of Parliament for the Great British Rewilding Awards.
Oh wow, congratulations.
With Biaza. So that was great. You know, again, I get to go to the Houses of Parliament once a year, and it's like, this is bizarre. No one was ever going to let me out of school and let me into somewhere like that. And we've been nominated, the charity has been nominated for the Earthshot Prize.
Oh wow,
so we've
really?
had 5 nominations, so we're just waiting for the next round to come in.
Yeah.
It's a green carpet event as well, which I love the idea.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not a red
great.
carpet, it's a green carpet.
Yeah.
And you're asked to wear something recycled or reused.
Brilliant. Terry's enthusiasm for what she does really rubbed off on me. All that expertise coming from someone who left school with just 1 GCSE. She really does prove that anything's possible to achieve if you love it that much. What better way to end our journey around the Chew Valley than here, Chew Valley Lake, at the heart of the landscape, with Sam and Jeff Dale. I've known Sam for a few years, as he was one of the original members of the Valley Arts Youth Theatre, which I helped set up in 2021. His granddad Jeff now lives in Oxford, but Jeff grew up in the same village as Sam. I wonder how things have changed over the years, and does Jeff still call the Chew Valley home? I mean, the landscape, I guess that would have changed a lot over the years, sort of between your childhood and yours, Sam. Most notably, of course, the lake.
I was 7 years old then, and in April 1956, the Queen came to open this lake, which they'd been starting building from the early 50s. So we all got a morning or a day off school, and we all stood on the side of the road waving our Union Jacks.
Oh,
you know.
wonderful.
Yeah. And the Queen came. I don't think it rained, no. And she opened this lake.
All
and I was a
the
little
school children
7-year-old.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
But I imagine it's probably very different. It's a very different place now than it was when you were here.
It's busier, but it still is very much a rural area.
Yes, sure.
Farming communities and that.
Yeah.
And used to play in the road, you know. Well, you couldn't do that now.
Yeah, no, of course. So, Sam, still do you feel it's very rural to you?
Less so now. I think growing up and with the airport expanding to become more of the city vibe.
Okay.
Because there's loads of airport parking around there now.
Sure. But what about, so your granddad mentioned sort of knowing everybody, knowing all the neighbours.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that still now?
I know the person across from me.
Yeah.
Across the A38 from me, but apart from that, no, really.
No. Do you ever see yourself kind of moving away, or?
I can't see myself moving. I would class this as home. It's really nice.
It's what you've always known, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So that's interesting, Jeff, that you say even though you moved away at late 60s, you still class the Chew Valley as home.
This is home, yeah. I mean, I was born in Middlesex, but no, this is home.
This is home.
I class myself as being from Somerset, yeah. I mean, it was what shaped me, obviously my family and local communities and the landscapes and everything, so I'm very much, I can't imagine living in a city or even really living in a town.
The Hidden Voices project is all about listening to stories in the valley that we haven't heard before. However, the more people I've spoken to, the more I see that people connect to this place in similar ways. This valley is obviously a haven for people's sense of history, belonging, community and friendships. The connection to the landscape is really strong here. Sometimes it's a particular house that creates a feeling of home, but more often than not it's about the people that live here and the part you play within a community. To so many people in this documentary, the Chew Valley really is the most beautiful place on earth. And it's full of stories, some thousands of years in the making, and others very recent. More than one place can be a home. Maybe I'll always feel torn about where I belong, but home is about planting seeds and watching them grow. And I feel very lucky to call Chew Magna my home. Thank you to everyone who shared their stories for Hidden Voices. This film is a leaping off point for another 4 months of creativity across the valley. I hope you'll join us in celebrating our villages, our people, our stories, and this place full of magic.
Well, home to me is very much Stanton Drew.
For me, home is Compton Martin.
Fernhill Farm on the Mendips in Somerset.
I was born and bred in Pensford.
My house in Fulton.
I do class East Hartpury as my home.
Here is always the place I'll return to.
I haven't moved far. I was born on the end of the lane here.
I was in London yesterday, but no, not really for me.
I feel so fortunate to call East Hartpury and the Chew Valley my home.
If I say I'm going home, I probably still means coming back to North Somerset.
But I'd also say I'm a human from planet Earth. Earth is an amazing place. We are part of nature, and I think a lot of humans have forgotten that bit.
Ridings Farm is home because these guys are home and everything that I love is here.